foremost, we're going into week 3 of March. So we want to be aware of that. As you guys know, I'm really big on letting people know where they're at. That way you can have really clear goals, and goals that actually make sense, right? Because sometimes we'll like throw things out there, and a goal not written down isn't a goal, it's a thought, right? Like I have a lot of thoughts every day. It doesn't mean that they should all happen. It doesn't even mean that they would necessarily benefit me, right? So make sure you write down the things that you actually want to make sure are getting done. And what's that new goal for you this week? Is that goal to pick up the phone for the first time? Is that goal to get uncomfortable and talk to somebody within the group? What's going to change this week to make it better than it was last week for you? You know, one thing I was really nervous of in the beginning was reaching out to people, talking to people. Like I was like, if I don't know you, I don't know you. You know, that's just kind of the culture in the Northeast, I'll openly say. And, you know, it was weird. It was awkward. And I felt intimidated at points in time. But here's the thing. When you write your goals down and then you reach out to people who have achieved those goals, it's going to make them so much more likely to happen. Not because that person's better than you. They could probably tell a very similar story of, you know, how they got from point A to point B, but more so because you're reaching out to someone who already did it. You're following a blueprint. And that's the beautiful thing about Family First Life is we're all really following a blueprint, right? It's what did somebody else do? For the most part, you know, people will come up with new things here and there, but it's like we're posting on social media to get a message out. You know, so with that being said, I do want to go, which is incredible. But what is his answer probably going to be? Put his head down and went to work, right? His team's currently issuing. So if you're wondering, can he personally produce? Can he build a team? Whatever side you're looking for right now, he's won on both at a high level and in a pretty short period of time. So, Gabe, you're with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I stepped outside. We just got our new office, and Comcast is here trying to fix our Wi-Fi. So So it wasn't going to work inside. I felt really bad. If I am getting bad reception here, I will move. So please let me know.
Nope, you're perfect. You're in. And thank you so much for doing that, Gabe. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on the office. It looks beautiful.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on your call. I know you're a veteran in this industry. I came in and I just was blown away by what you've built and done personally. And so I'm super honored to be on your call. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being on with us today, Gabe. And kind of with that being said, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of what got you into FFL, what you were doing before that, and why you're moving fast with Family First Life right now.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. A little bit about myself. So I'm here living outside of Chicago, Northwest Indiana. I came to school, believe it or not, to be a minister. And so I came to college, finished my bachelor's. I was running a youth program in Southside Chicago. I went to West Africa for my master's and to serve with a group of missionaries. And I got back, and the whole time through college, I paid my way. I worked a lot of different sales careers. I got done with my master's, and I was like, you know what? Full-time ministry is not, I love it, but it's not for me yet full-time. I feel like I need to do some other things. And I wanted something that could give me like a full-time income, you know, maybe work, but giving me the freedom of schedule to work when I wanted and also invest. And so I legitimately looked at a few different industries. My girlfriend at the time was a real estate agent, also a good friend, and they weren't really making quite the money I wanted. And then I had a friend who just walked in. I lived in one of those, college houses. 5, 6 guys shared one house, that we were all, renting. And one of my buddies was like, yeah, I made last week. And I was like, doing what? And he's like selling insurance. And so I was like, well, I'll give it a shot. And then he was actually working with a company that you had worked at previously. And while I was getting my license, my buddy Caleb convinced me to go to another insurance place, that had a local office that was not as good. And and that's how I got into insurance. And then while I was at that company, I discovered that insurance was for me, but that company absolutely was not. And I genuinely feel like God led me to Family First Life. And so the reason I'm hitting so hard now is because this has really been, exactly what I wanted. You know, God answered my prayer, giving me something where I can love the work that I do part-time and have the freedom to invest in the things that I love. So like last year, we were able to start an orphanage there in West Africa with a group of missionaries that I served with. And so yeah, that's why I'm pressing, working hard.
Awesome. And like, what an intro, huh? Like, it's like, it's amazing how many different backgrounds and what everybody's seen different things, right, Gabe? So it's like what your story is and my story is, and everybody on this, call story is going to be different. But what I really love about your story is you give back, right? Like your goal, and you're saying, I'm working hard because I give back. So I think that that's amazing. And I just respect the heck out of you for that. And I think that when you have a why that's big enough, there's no such thing as working too hard, right? So
Oh
with
yeah.
so with that being said, Gabe, I think mindset's a really big thing in this business, whether we're talking about ourselves or we're talking about the mindsets of the people around us or, within our group, right? So coming into Family First Life, I guess, how do you feel like your mindset's attributed to growth, or what had to change when you came into Family First Life about your mindset to be able to kind of grow?
Yeah, that's a phenomenal question. And mindset is absolutely everything. I'm actually listening to the audiobook about mindset right now, Unstoppable by oh man, the name's escaping me, but he spoke at the convention. That Dave
Dave
Anderson.
Anderson.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And it's number one, mindset is responsible for everything in life. I mean, there's just so many examples, of athletes that have gone through tremendous adversity, people that have gone through just horrible things, but excel, and people who have no excuse and don't, and it's because of their mindset. So I would say the ways that it has helped me is I always had a belief that my why was worth any level of work and dedication. And so that's why figuring that out is so important for each of us. You've heard the quote, I'm sure, and I thought you were about to quote it a second ago. You paraphrased it, but if you know your why, then you can withstand almost any how. And so I think that has helped me so much, because when this was more work than I initially thought, and honestly, when you go into what I had to change, is I thought I knew what working hard was before I got in this industry. Like I thought I knew, but this has been a tremendous, amount of hard work. And sometimes I'll speak to a new recruit or a friend. A lot of my managers, Matt Boers, Sean Barnes, Mindy Tibbs. They're some of my best friends through college. And when I told them how much making, they're like, it's crazy. That doesn't seem real. And I was like, wait until you see how much work it is. And then it won't seem crazy anymore because you'll be like, I earned this money. So I think I had to let my mindset change a lot of different times. But as far as what I thought hard work was, but what kept me going was that my why was big enough, and just always being teachable. I think that was something that was instilled in me at a young age and has been such a blessing, because I see people much more talented than me who try to like be an island to themselves, and they come in and they struggle and many times fail. And, I got in here and I was my upline, Ivan Vedrov. I used to blow up his phone 10 times a day. Now, I wasn't in homes, inside of homes, outside of homes. So he always answered because he knew I was working. And, but I wanted to learn and was teachable. And the culture here, that you talk about giving back, one of the reasons I love Family First Life so much is because our founder, Sean Mike, that's what this company is all about. So I felt like I didn't have to come in here and have my own thing.
Dave, really what I heard you were saying was essentially when you came in, there was a blueprint, there was something that you could follow.
100%. And just being teachable, reaching out, when I was working was everything. And we have such a great culture here. It was always there for me.
Awesome. And I love that. And I love how you really hit on hard work. You're like, I thought I knew what hard work was, and then I came into this business, right? And I think that,
Right.
if you're doing this business right, it should feel like that, right?
Mm.
But like you said, when your why is outweighing the how, it doesn't matter. You're going to get it done. So
Yeah.
kind of with that being said, Gabe, because you really just gave a lot kind of, coming out of that, what would you say is the biggest misstep that an agent can take that will bring them out of business? Because you brought up a couple really important things like hard work, reach out, and being, teachable or coachable, right? And I feel like if you don't do one of those three things, eventually in this business, you're going to unfortunately fade out no matter how good you are, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think are the biggest missteps or that you've seen kind of throughout your organization that an agent might take or not take that will push them out of this business?
Sure. I think the biggest misstep overall, and it can present itself in a few different ways. So I'll explain it and then I'll kind of go into a few specifics. I think the biggest misstep is trying to reinvent the wheel. The structure here is already so strong. There are so many successful agents doing the structure here. And I feel like so many folks come in and they're like, well, if they're doing this, I'll modify it this way for me, and that should work. And it's crazy too, because a lot of people will do that having very little sales experience or nothing in this industry. And so they just assume, and maybe they're successful at some other thing, so they think that success will just transcend to everything. So they're like, oh, I don't need to call this much. I don't need to run that schedule. I don't need, I've been blessed when I've got him in here. Ivan just liked the way that I interviewed people. So I got to do his Hall of Fame call. So my first probably 6 months to a year here, I interviewed just about every Hall of Fame producer in FFL. In fact, that's how we were first introduced. I interviewed you on one of those calls. And for most people coming into this industry that were here for several years but weren't a Hall of Fame producer their first year, I would ask them, hey, what was the biggest difference between your first year where you wrote and your next year where you wrote? They would often tell me, well, I finally started running the FFL schedule. I finally started buying the amount of leads that I was told I always should. I finally started,
I think really what Gabe's saying is they finally started following the schedule. They finally started doing these small things that we say from day one, hey, we're going to do these things, right? We have all intentions to do them, but we don't do them, right? I know like in my first year, I didn't hit Hall of Fame, right? This is what was the difference. I worked harder. I followed the schedule. The schedule. There's a schedule for a reason. So if you're a full-time agent, you got to follow that schedule, Gabe, you're back with us.
I am so sorry. I feel so bad.
Sorry.
It's crazy that we invested all this in a good podcaster, but I can't use it because the stinking Comcast is down. So I have abundantly apologized. Super unprofessional on my part. So sorry.
No worries at all. I was actually just sharing that when my office got up and going. We had the same problem. So don't worry about it, Gabe. But really, you were talking about the difference between, the person who didn't hit Hall of Fame, but hit Hall of Fame the following year, and you were hitting on those basic areas of schedule, of, making sure you're getting on the phone at 7:30, of making sure you're reaching out, you're coachable, kind of hitting on those things.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest misstep, you were kind of hitting on that as you cut out.
Yeah. So just trying to reinvent, the wheel is the biggest misstep. And I've seen it from everyone that has never, really, maybe they came from a very typical, 9-to-5 job, or maybe they were making a decent income, maybe not, maybe they really saw the opportunity or like, this will change my life. And as well from people that have been business owners and successful in other industries. So they felt like because of their success that they could just completely reinvent. And I've just seen it all across the board not work out and really frustrate people. So I really try to belabor to people when they come in, like, hey, whatever aspirations you have, ways you think this could be better, like I'm not saying they're not without any merit, but your first 6 months, like just do it the way that we have seen it work with literally thousands of agents. That way, because if you try come in here and try something completely new, like it's gonna be very hard for me to help you, like through because I don't know like how to instruct you on your new thing. But if you do it the form that we understand and have seen people who are successful, I'm going to know exactly how to help you. So that by far is the biggest hurdle, stumbling block, gets people right out of the door in this business. So that's it there.
Absolutely. And I think you really hit on a lot of like non-negotiables, right? So like you're telling your new agent, like, hey, you can come up with all the creative ideas, because coming into this business, like you said, by default, whatever background, you're like, oh, I have this great idea that nobody thought of before. And 10 to 1 says somebody might have thought of it, but it might just not fit best with the system. And most importantly, Gabe, what you said was, I can't train you on the system that I don't know, right? But if we're all following the same one, you can reach out to everybody because we're all following that same system, right?
Right, 100%.
And that's like, it's just another reason why FFL kind of works together. And you can reach out to, somebody could reach out to you and me. We probably have a similar answer about, hey, how do you handle, I need to think about it in the home, because it's a universal answer, right? So love that. And then if you could just hit on, how important is it to have goals? And I know that that's a really vague question, but I think that without goals, we're just kind of like working day by day with not really sure where we're going, just kind of trying to get there. So how important would you say goals are?
Yeah, I love that question, because I was literally at an office opening in Orange County. I kind of harped on it when a new agent, I felt, and Joe and Caleb were there, and it was so funny because when she said this, because I was going around talking to new agents, some have been for a while, like when she said it, you could see the look that like they gave each other, because they knew like what I was going to do. Because I asked her, I was like, what are your goals? And she was like, oh, I'm just kind of go with the flow, da 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 da. And so they like knew it was coming, because when I was growing up, the pastor of my church used to have a saying, he loved to say it, said it all the time, said, if you don't have a goal, you're going to hit it. And what does that mean? That means if you're never reaching for anything, then you're never going to accomplish anything. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, a goal is absolutely paramount when your job is performance driven. And I think that's why a lot of people don't understand the importance of goals. Like when I worked in, between my bachelor's and master's, I had like a 9-month period where I wasn't in a full-time schedule. So I worked at FedEx, and I delivered boxes, and I enjoyed that job. And it was hard work, but it wasn't performance driven. Like, I got my order of boxes every day, and it didn't matter whether I was in a good mood, a bad mood, whether I felt sick, whether I had a pleasant look on my face, or, I put deodorant on that day, all those things, I wasn't really interacting very much with people. So it didn't matter, as long as I delivered those boxes, my job was good. But when you're in a sales position, or a performance-driven position, an athlete, sales, anything like that, the way you come to work every day, like, is going to directly affect your performance. And so if you don't have something you're pushing for, driving towards, as far as a goal, as far as a big why, and the why and the goal are not the same thing. You have to put them together, because your why, like, had a really candid conversation with the agent the other day who'd been with us for a while but was kind of underachieving, and she always got really passionate when she talked about her goal. She's like, I want to retire, this family member, they've just been working really hard for many years, taking care of me, and I want to do that. But she wasn't working very hard. She didn't have a goal. And when I asked her what her goals were, it was always really cloudy and like at the real. And I was like, if your why is important, then you need to have a goal combined with it so that you can achieve your why. Because just because you have a big why and you get teary-eyed about it doesn't mean you're going to achieve it. You got to strive towards it. So the importance, I know I kind of went on there, but the importance of a goal is paramount. And also to measure your activity, because you can say, if you have a goal, if you said, I was going to write this month, and I wrote, like, okay, like I went far beneath my goal. So I need to change some activity. I need to reach out to my upline, my manager, to some other agents to get some help because I'm not hitting my goal. But if you just, it was whatever, it might satisfy you, and you're no closer to achieving your why. So.
Absolutely. And I think that that's really big. Like your why and your why and your goal aren't the same thing, right? Like your why is going to be compounded of small goals put together that help get you there, right? And
Yeah.
that's that compound effect, working beautifully. I love, if you don't have a goal, you're going to hit it. Like that's like gonna
Yeah.
be my new, like I love that. That's awesome. Because it's true. I know that when I was in this business and like I just wanted to like get by and write, 20 grand a month, which, like no one was mad at me at that point in time, but I wasn't over there like, okay, and this is how I'm gonna do it. It was like almost it was mindless, which I'm not proud to say, but I'm, open enough to be able to say, hey, like I was never perfect. I'm still not perfect. However, little things that we pick up with every call like this, I know I'm never going to go into a month, without goals, because without that, it's
Right.
like, why even go to work, right? Like, why even get
Yeah,
up,
100%.
right? You don't have that motivating factor. And Gabe, before you guys were hitting, that, or issue paying as a group, that month, what do you think changed in the business to help you and the team get there? Would you say like one of your 1, 2, or 3 biggest changes that you felt?
I would say the biggest time in anybody's business in here, I think, is before they hit their mark. That is the most work. It's the most 3 steps forward, 2 steps back, time of this business, because you are building. Obviously, this business is all about people. It's all about leadership. It's all about It's all about you, leaders developing good followers and leaders developing other leaders, and that progression. And during that first 300,000, you are developing your leaders. And, there were people that were writing 30, 40K a month before we hit 300,000 or 20, 30, 40 that aren't with us now. Because when we maybe thought they were going to be part of that leadership, but for whatever reason, they just decided something else was for them, or, whatever. And so that was really important. So once we hit that, I think a big mistake a lot of people do is they let their foot off the brakes, because they're like, okay, I got my leadership now. And, these guys are going to go out, they're going to write 30, 40, they're putting money in recruiting, they want to build a business. All of these guys are driven, they're going to be Hall of Fame producers. So a lot of people get there and they take their foot off the brake. We were blessed in that we just had a lot of good leaders who just really advised us well not to do that. So we didn't. So we kept seeing that growth and started exploding. It went from 3 to 270 to 450 to 520 to 570 to 700. And then we exploded from like 700 to like 1 in like a 5-week month. And I think what that big explosion was a combination of us never taking the foot off the gas, but also our leadership started developing leaders. And so that was the biggest, being a leader who was going to do that no matter what without me watching them. And sometimes you can bring those people in, but a lot of times you'll train them, to then having for me to learn a new skill where I'm teaching that leader to then make leaders. And that was a completely different, because then I'm instilling in them things that I had to learn from myself: patience and, empathy and seeing things from other people's point of view. So that was something that was a learning curve for me. But right when that started happening, man, that's when you have a business that isn't going anywhere. I was doing it, when I was training them to train leaders. So you're always learning something.
Absolutely. And I think that's like that's the great part about this business. And the worst part is that it's a compound effect. You learn this skill, you compound on it. You learn that skill, you compound on it, right? You're learning a skill and you're teaching a skill. You're learning a skill, you're teaching a skill. And it's a give take. And it's the best give take though, because it's like, there's not a better feeling when, you're helping somebody get into that 300,000, a month mark, so to say, and they start stepping it up and crushing it, They have agents out there killing it. They're killing it. They're reinvesting. They're excited. There's not a better feeling on our end, you know, as giving that leadership than seeing that person grow and develop. So awesome. And then,
Oh yeah.
Gabe, you know, just to kind of to get to close out the call, I guess we could say, if you could give the agents who are on this call that are maybe newly licensed, they're in pre-licensing, or maybe they're just going through a little bit of a bumpy road, what's one piece of advice that you would say that they could implement today?
You know, I would say the main thing for an agent that's coming in, you know, whether it be someone who's, you know, first getting contracted, or, you know, you're just starting out and maybe it hasn't started like you wanted it to. I would say you got to understand, like, the thing that you open the call with is your mindset and your consistency and your work ethic are really going to be what determines your success in this business. Because here's the thing, just making it real simple, selling life insurance is not rocket science. Like, going out, like, I want so bad, you know, to, especially for people that don't really understand our industry, to be able to brag about writing 40, 50, 60, 70, 80K a month. But the truth is, every time I upgraded, I was just buying more leads and working more. Like, it's, these people literally asked for help. You know what I mean? So I love the way Sean Mike says it. He's like, you could staple the lead to your head and knock on the lead's door and just like point at the lead, and like a certain amount of people would buy because they're like, yeah, like I asked for life insurance. And like, so knowing the simplicity of this job, like, it's not complicated, but it is hard work. And so a lot of people trick themselves into thinking like, oh, this is really complicated and that's why I'm struggling. Because I think there's an internal dialogue that wants us to make things complicated because we get an excuse on why it didn't work. But if we admit that it's simple, then the only reason it didn't work is because we weren't putting the right amount of effort into it. So saying all that, I would say for me, my first week, I bought leads on Monday, I dialed, and I didn't write anything Tuesday, Wednesday. I bought leads on Thursday, I dialed, I didn't write anything Friday, Saturday. I had my first sale Sunday morning before church, and I just made back what I put in leads. And I was planning my Monday, and I was like, you know what? In my mind, I had worked a straight 7 days. Like, I was putting in effort. But then when I looked at my activity and what FFL was telling me to do, I was not working the way they said. And so that next Monday, I got the amount of leads they said I should. I put in like 12 hours of dialing. I booked 14 appointments for Tuesday, 6 for Wednesday, and I went out and closed 7. Even make it through that first week. For one, they don't even, invest in leads and put in the work. And two, when they meet failure, they let it stop right there. And I think I've wondered so many times how many people that were just as talented or more than me, had more skill, more charisma, gave up before they hit that first sale, or they did it and they didn't have the belief and the teachability to go that next week and put even more hard work and effort to have the success. I think all of us, not all of us, so many people stop before they encounter that success. So I would say, if you have you have a big why, Marissa, says that you can give it, your upline says you can make it work. And you just got to believe in yourself and go to work and make it happen. And you just got to keep being consistent. Like,
Consistency wins everything in this business, right?
mm-hmm.
If we do something on Monday, it doesn't matter if we don't do it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So I love how you said that, Gabe. Like, you invested, you said, okay, I bought the leads, I dialed them, I did everything, but did I do it at the level I was supposed to do it at? Because everything, we can tie an emotion to the result, but every emotion that we should be tying anything to should be our actual activity. Like, are we mad because we didn't dial, right? Like, I didn't make enough dials today. Like, let me be more mad about that than I had 3 appointments that no-showed me. I only had 3 appointments.
Right.
I was supposed to get no-showed, right? So I
Right.
love that story of, I love that story of you invested in the leads, you did it, you invested, you did it again. You said, okay, what do I need to tweak and adjust to make sure I'm getting this result? So you consulted with your upline and you said, what do I need to change? They said, hey, look, this is what it says to do. You said, okay, I was doing this, I'm going to do this. You did this and it started working, right? So it's that easy to turn it on. You just got to stay consistent. If there was one word I could just put around like this whole industry, it would be consistency.
Yeah.
So
100%.
thank you so much for the feedback. And just to kind of close out with you, what are your goals for, to close out 2022, whether that's for yourself, your team, or for both?
Sure, sure. I would say, most of my goals, just like you said, I'm at the point in the industry where, obviously not only from a business standpoint is it beneficial to focus more on my agents and their building, but it also just feels so good. Like I felt so good when I went out and like that first weekend, like I crushed it and like I helped, 15 families and, I saw more, income than I'd ever seen, and like my life hit my bank account like on a Tuesday. And, but then after doing that for a while, that faded. Like the joy of seeing that, like it was still cool, but it didn't excite me as much. But the excitement that feels just as good every single time is when I help an agent reach a level of success and have a breakthrough and do that. So that's my big thing now is it's all around the agency.